The judicial branch of government is established in Article 3 of the Constitution. It is emphatically the province and duty of the judicial department to say what the law is, stated in Marbury v. Madison, 1803. The federal court system is established in the Constitution. The jurisdiction or authority to hear and decide a case is also established, with a lengthy process in which cases must go through in order to be heard by the federal government. The federal courts have jurisdiction over the following areas: the Constitution, federal laws, law of the high seas, disputes involving the U.S. government, disputes between states or citizens of different states, disputes involving foreign governments, and everything else goes to the state and local courts. Here is an image that shows the layout of the court system, with the Supreme Court being the highest. Underneath it, you have the Court of Appeals. Below that, your trial or district courts, international trade courts, and federal claim courts. And at the bottom, you have federal courts and other entities that are outside of the judicial branch, such as military courts, the Court of Veteran Appeals, the tax courts, and then federal administrative agencies and boards. The lower federal courts are divided into the district and Court of Appeals. The district courts are federal courts where lawsuits begin. There's at least one per state. District courts handle most of the federal court system's work, around 90%. District courts have original jurisdiction, that is the authority to hear the case for the first time. Court of Appeals are the circuit courts. These courts only hear cases that have been appealed from the lower courts. They have what is called appellate jurisdiction. Here is a map that shows the geographic boundaries of the federal district courts and the circuit courts of appeals across the United States. Additional courts, military courts, territorial courts, U.S. tax courts, and claim courts. The U.S. Supreme Court is the highest court in the land. It rarely has original jurisdiction over a case. Almost all of the cases that come to the Supreme Court are from appeals. The Supreme Court includes 9 justices, including the Chief Justice. They are all appointed by the President, and they hold their terms until they either die, resign, or are impeached. They are very powerful and very prestigious. The Supreme Court has the power of judicial review. This allows the court to review any law and decide if it's unconstitutional, from Marbury v. Madison in 1803, but only if the law comes to the court in a case. The Supreme Court is the final say or final authority on the Constitution and laws in the United States. How can a Supreme Court decision be overturned? A new decision by the court or a constitutional amendment. They make a ruling. There's a couple of opinions that can come out of making a ruling. The majority opinion, in which you have most of the justices agreeing, a concurring opinion, or a dissenting opinion. Dissenting opinions are those that don't agree. Interpreting the Constitution. Loose versus strict. Judicial activism versus judicial restraint.